It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, as we sit here, 13 subscribers away on YouTube from 10,000. How are we doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's been a busy week on the beat. I like busy. I'm a busy person. I like going to get it. I like when the stories come to me and I don't have to go chase them down. And so yesterday we had Najee Harris kind of blowing up on the world saying our problems are not all Matt Canada. And if you think that, you know what the heck you're talking about. And today we have Matt Canada kind of blowing up on CBS saying, heck no, I didn't say that stuff. Which really just makes my job a lot easier because I just go in there and I type what they said and I put it out there and y'all read it. And I have to try to invent ways to be interesting. The team is interesting for me, so I appreciate that. Chuks,
absolutely. Yeah. There we go. I want to talk about Kenny Pickett, though. Kenny Pickett sheds the knee brace today. We know that if he had his way, probably wouldn't have even worn it for one practice. Certainly didn't want to have to be wearing it for the game, but didn't even see him Thursday's practice wearing it. All signs point to he will be the Steelers starting quarterback on Sunday, whether we agree with that decision or not.
Yeah, man. Actually, really funny. I looked up. So I guess maybe not all our Steelers fans know, but I covered Pitt for 5 years before I covered the Steelers, and or sort of while I was covering the Steelers in the beginning. So I've been covering Kenny a long time, and in 2018, Kenny got injured against Georgia Tech, where is actually me and Kenny and Tariq Carpenter, who was a Steelers practice squad linebacker who was on that Georgia Tech team, we're kind of talking about that game today in the locker room, and his offensive lineman got kind of driven back into him, got hit in the knee, like sort of pretty similar, impact that he took against the Texans. And Kenny's down there on the field. It's at Ben Hines Field. And, yes, normal reaction when your quarterback goes down as fans are hushed. And you can kind of see that, like, Pat Narduzzi is upset. And, the first reaction is like, was it a dirty hit? Was it a dirty play? And then you kind of see the replay, and it's his own offensive lineman. Like, it wasn't dirty. So we get into the press conference room, and somebody asked Pat about it, and he's like, I was mad because Kenny wasn't wearing his knee brace. And Pat had apparently instituted a rule that all his quarterbacks need to wear knee braces on their plant foot, on their front foot. And Kenny wasn't wearing one. He gets run into by his lineman. He gets his knee hyperextended. Kenny turned out to be fine. I don't even think he missed a game. But it became a whole story about, like, Kenny didn't want to wear it, and Pat wanted him to wear it. And so if you read the story on SteelersNow.com today about Kenny not wearing the knee brace, I linked to my story from 2018 about Pat flipping out that Kenny's hurt on the field, and he finds out he's not wearing his knee brace. And there's a line from Kenny where, like, I think he's going to make me wear it to class. So I was just kind of cracking up about that. And so I went over to ask Kenny, like, hey, feel good not having the brace on. He's like, yeah, you would be the one to come ask me about that. Like, because obviously I know the history maybe more than everybody else does there. So, Kenny really does not want to have to wear a knee brace in a game. And and sort of ironic result of that was that Pat eventually relented. Not the rest of that year. I think he wore it the rest of the 18 season. But then the start of the 19 season, Pat relented and sort of emphasized that he had taught Kenny how to slide. And that was sort of the trade-off, was that Kenny needed to not take hits, that he would be allowed to wear the knee brace if he promised to slide every time, which sort of maybe in some ways kind of ironically sets up Kenny's kind of viral fake slide in the ACC. Like, it's all connected, right? That all goes back to him not wanting to wear that knee brace. So, yeah, he really doesn't want to wear a knee brace, and he didn't today in practice, and he said he felt good not needing to wear it. And so, sounds like he's going to be good to go. Canada said today when we talked to him that he's not going to change the game plan, won't change the play sheet, that everything is available to him. And like I say, I thought Kenny looked good today. and what I saw looked better than he did yesterday. And I think he's going to be pretty close to 100%. Just the vibe I'm getting.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, that's quite the turnaround. Of course, like those things definitely can look scarier in the moment than what they turn out to be, obviously. But I'm just really surprised that we're sitting here just on Thursday and he's already at this point in terms of the progress of that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I really thought that, and credit to Mike Tomlin. I think Kenny's a competitor. He was going to try to play no matter how
Sure.
hurt he
Yeah.
was. But I think Tomlin pretty clearly identified that like this was an injury he could play through, and he gave him the opportunity to. Now he's taking it, and so we'll see how it goes. I mean, listen, it's not a good idea until it turns out to be a good idea. But I think some of the concerns that I had and that you and I expressed yesterday, I think maybe the fact that he's able to practice, in full, listed as a full participant in practice today, no knee brace, it seems like he's going to be okay. And if he's okay, then it's probably the right decision to play him.
Yeah, I was about to ask that if it changed your mind because we've had conversations about that. Like even if he can go, like does it make sense for him to be the one out there instead of Mitch for different reasons, whether it's health wise if he's not at 100% or even just performance based.
Yeah, I mean, I still think. Look, I don't think he's far from the line that it takes to get yourself replaced as a quarterback. Like, let's just be honest. Like, I don't think he's been far from that. When you're the team's first round draft pick and they've invested a lot into you, like you get a lot more leeway than other people do. But like, let's be real. Kenny has been worse this year in 4 games than Mitch was in his start last year that got him benched for Kenny, right? Like,
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. And again, only half joking, not fully joking on this. I'm kind of upset if he's going to be able to completely get out of the pocket.
Like, look, I do think that Kenny one of the things that he needs to learn is where his athleticism plays at this level and where it doesn't. I think that that is usually a difficult adjustment for quarterbacks, with the exception of like the Lamar Jacksons, the absolute freakiest of athletes. I do think that every other guy that runs a little bit like look at Daniel Jones. I think it took him a long time to kind of find that balance of like what he can do, what he can't do, what works and what doesn't work, and what's a good idea to try and what isn't. Like, I don't think that pointing out that Kenny Pickett is like Daniel Jones is doing anything for Kenny's. That's not a favorable comparison, but I just think it emphasizes that that is a difficult thing, I think, for young, semi-athletic quarterbacks to figure out exactly what they can and can't do with their legs. And so I don't think it is necessarily the worst thing in the world for Kenny to have some of that taken away from him a little bit, where he kind of has to play a more pocket game. I don't think that'll be bad for him.
Yeah, and his offensive coordinator is what I wanted to bring up. You mentioned a little bit, but I want to dive more into it. The fact that he talked about the comments in terms of this team being able to come from behind, which CBS talked about on the broadcast. He said it was, a misrepresentation of the conversation taken out of context. I guess I could bring up the quote here from the story. Conversation was why we ran more and had more play action against the Raiders than the opening game. You looked at the sheet and why did it look that way? As you guys all know, the start of the 49ers game didn't go the way we planned. We're down 3 scores with 3:13 to go in the third. 3 scores. You're not going to stick to your running plan and your plan of running play action when you're down 3 scores. All we care about here is winning. So the conversation was at that point, the plan wasn't built to do that. You had to go.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's what I'll say about this. I'll take Canada for his word at this because there's really no reason for him to lie. That's not the way he said that what he's saying is true, that the conversation was just about Yeah, that was about, the conversation was about why they didn't run the ball against the Raiders more than anything else. I'll take that word, him at his word. But like,
Mhm.
okay, he's what he was allegedly attributed to saying is factually correct. Okay,
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah, I agree.
like whether he said it that way or not. And look, there are reasons for Canada to be upset about that. The team can't hear that from him. Like, he can't say that. And I understand if he really didn't say that, why he would be upset by that. But, like, for our purposes, right? For my purposes, for your purposes as a fan, like, none of that matters at all because they aren't built to come from behind. And whether Canada said it or not doesn't matter because the rest of us can obviously see it and we can obviously say it. They're not built to come from behind, Smitty. They're not. Sorry, Matt. Like,
Nope.
it doesn't matter if you said it or not. They're not. And so I think we can, like, I understand that, and maybe this is me being a little bit more cynical than necessary as a journalist, but okay, is Matt upset about being of what he said misrepresented? I'm sure. It as someone that has had that happen before, it upsets me when it happens. Okay, when what you said is twisted and said in a different way. But man, what an all-time great look over there that was. like I mean, just like Tuesday's press conference was about everyone being upset that your boss didn't say that you got fired, and you know what didn't come up today? That, because we talked about this instead. And
Yeah.
so
Hey, there you go.
I don't know. Nah, just maybe that's me being overly cynical, but it's a convenient thing for Canada to talk about because it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about it as a fan too. Like, I know that they're not built to come from behind, whether he's going to say that or not. You just don't want to hear the guy in charge of the offense say that. So that's kind of where I've been with that. I don't think it's like an overwhelming story or anything like that. But to your point, it is kind of funny that yeah, like that was the the topic of the day for him as opposed to what everybody would have been otherwise.
Yeah, very, very convenient. Let's just say that. And like I said, like I believe him that's what the way he's saying it is really what happened. Like I don't think he's lying to us there. Not in that. I mean, the Steelers PR in those meetings, like he's not going to come out and just mischaracterize what happened to make himself look good. Like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it was a convenient week for him to be misquoted so that he had that to talk about instead of something else. Like let's just say that because the way his offense is playing is not great right now.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Other than the CBS thing, I know that you don't typically get a lot from Matt. I don't know if if Nick with Teryl Austin, anything from the coordinators today that was kind of like a topic.
Yeah, so I mean, Matt said the stuff about them not needing to change the playbook for Kenny that he
Yeah.
has, available to all. Canada kind of brushed off concerns about the 4th-and-1 play call. Just said, "Hey, it's a play we like. It didn't work. It happens." Talked about the rotation running backs a little bit, which I was unsure as to why that was the thing that was kind of being pointedly questioned. I feel like the running back rotation has gone pretty well. I guess
Yeah.
because Najee Harris kind of expressed a little bit of a desire to run the ball more. Maybe I understand why we're bringing it up, but I mean, I think of all the things to be critical of, that is not it.
Yeah.
I again, pointed very directly at Matt. What the heck is going on with the start of your games? And he took that as saying, yeah, that's what I was talking about when we were talking about, that was not the game plan, is that, we can't get behind like that. It doesn't mean that I don't believe that we could come back if we can, but like, that's not what we're trying to do here. Like we need to be better at the start of a game so that doesn't happen, because that is the result. You end up getting to places where you can't run the ball, you can't use play action, and you make your offense more predictable. I don't know that anything is going to go differently in this game, but like I've asked 50 people about the scripts and the starts of games, and they're all like, yes, we're working on it. We understand it's a problem. It's unacceptable. It's got to be better. I don't know. I guess we'll see if it's going to be better. Like that's got to be the thing. To me, that is the number one thing to change on this offense, and just got to see.
I mean, yeah, how worrisome is that for, I mean, again, we're talking about extended period of time now, not just the 4 games in this season, but it's been an extended period of time. How worrisome is it that, like, you know, opening script is really what you can control. You kind of got to go with the ebbs and flows of the game at times, and it's not in your hands. But, you know, the plays that they're picking out, this is how we want to start the game, have been their worst plays.
Yeah, I also think it's quite ironic that, like, that was the thing that Canada was actually talking about, that he's upset that was mischaracterized. Meanwhile, like, okay, yes, the thing that was allegedly mischaracterized sounds bad to the team, but this thing is a far bigger indictment of his ability as an offensive coordinator. This is the thing that's like, why can't you figure this out? Because if you can't, you probably shouldn't have this job. Like that's where I'm at with it. And yeah, so a little strange. They've got to find a way. And this is a really good Baltimore defense. Like, this is not the week to be trying to figure stuff out, but they've got to.
I actually want to ask you about something on the defensive side of the football, though. With Teryl Austin was asked today about Joey Porter Jr., saying that he doesn't feel like he's there yet in terms of being able to take over a starting spot. Did acknowledge that Keeanu Benton is played really well and probably earning himself more time. Does feel like he has the gas tank to take on more snaps. But both of those things in terms of Keeanu Benton, Joey Porter Jr., where are you at with those two, and do you agree with his sentiments?
I don't think Joey should be starting. I would like to see him get some more reps, especially in some, like, maybe more passing-oriented situations where the other team is still in normal personnel. Where, like, remember we had, like, they're not going to put the dime in, but maybe we could get Joey in a base or a nickel look when the thought is that the other team is probably going to pass. I really think the bigger problem in the secondary right now than coverage is tackling. And Joey is not that good of a tackler. Like he's not for especially for someone his size, like that's not his game. And so, like, if you're mad that Levi Wallace is missing tackles, I think Levi Wallace is the best tackling corner they have. Like, if you're willing to fix that problem, Desmond King is the answer to that problem and not Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're upset about not tackling in the secondary, I think I want to play Desmond King a lot more than I want to play Joey Porter Jr. because I don't think he's an upgrade in tackling, like at all.
Which I should have brought him up too, because it sounds like he is going to play snaps on defense, Desmond King, based off what Teryl Austin said. As far as Joey Porter goes, do you feel like it's an effort thing with him coming down and being willing to help out in the run game, or it's just like he's just not there yet?
No, I mean, I just think he's not there. I mean, there was a drill, if you remember back in training camp, there was like Gunner. A tackling drill, and Gunner was just smoking him. And we've not seen a lot of Gunner doing that to other teams' corners, right? I mean, this is not like it's, Deontay Johnson you couldn't stay with or something like that, where like you could kind of forgive it. Like, and so I just think that there's some technique stuff and some I don't think it's a willingness. I think it's technique. And also he played a lot of man in college, and like the Steelers are playing a lot more zone right now. And the expectation of your tackling ability for a zone corner versus a man corner is very different. Man corners have their back to the ball. Like they're expected to, stay with the guy so that he doesn't get the football. But there's an understanding that if the ball goes somewhere else or the ball gets thrown short, that guy's going to have a hard time making a tackle. You play zone with the expectation that we're probably going to allow a completion, but we are going to tackle it the second the ball is caught. And I don't think he has that sort of wrapped up yet. I don't think he's there yet in that sort of technique. And so, look, Patrick Peterson is going to play, and he's really only good at being his own corner. It's really hard to play man on one side and zone on the other. You can do it. It's possible, but it's difficult, right? And so, I just don't really feel like what Joey's good at and what Joey's not good at kind of lines up with where the Steelers' deficiencies have been so far in a way that makes it easy to say, hey, let's just play the rookie. Like it does with Keeanu Benton. Like, to me, there's a guy that should be playing more and has earned it and fits where the weaknesses have revealed themselves to be in a more significant way.
Yeah, that's a good point. In terms of Levi, obviously there's been issues tackling. It all goes hand in hand in terms of, helping out and run support, but the too long running plays, it's not even like broken tackles. He's just not containing the outside like he should be. And those, to me, I have a bigger issue with in the past. Yeah.
Where he recovered to make the tackle, but he still lost contain outside. And like I said, I feel like Levi Wallace is their best tackling corner outside of maybe Desmond King, who I'm not saying that Desmond King is definitely better or worse. I just don't have as much experience watching his game. Like, of the guys that are around, that have been around, Levi is probably their best tackling corner, and he's been very poor. I don't know what you do in those scenarios. Like, do you just replace a guy? Do you expect the talent and the history of production to eventually shine through? That's a difficult thing to do as a coach to try to figure out. And, another thing is, I don't think Patrick Peterson is tackled very well. And we talked a lot this summer about Patrick Peterson being the slot and you moving him inside to get Joey Porter playing time. Well, now I think two parts of that are falling apart, right? Because you got to tackle in the slot. You got to play man coverage in the slot. And I don't think those things are working for Patrick Peterson right now. And so the way that they had envisioned Joey Porter Jr. getting playing time is falling apart in multiple ways. Like, he's not doing the things that they need from their outside corners right now. And Patrick Peterson moving inside seems nearly untenable at this point. He's not covering man, and he's not tackling. That's what they really need from their slot corner, and they're not getting it. I will be very surprised if we don't see a ton of Desmond King in this game, especially with the Ravens now looking like they're healthy at wide receiver. It looks like it's going to be OBJ, it's going to be Bateman, and it's going to be Flowers, and that's like three really good catch and run wide receivers, guys that you absolutely have to rally to the ball and tackle, or they will kill you. I think we're going to see a lot of King in this game, and those three guys get the majority of the reps. This is not, to me, the week to go making a push for Joey Porter to get a lot more playing time.
Yeah. So, okay, we know that Joey Porter Jr. seeing more time, who would come with taking snaps away from. In the case of Desmond King, who offers that inside-outside versatility, you would think most likely Shannon Sullivan. With Keeanu Benton, who do you think we see a decrease in snaps of if it means more snaps for Keeanu Benton?
Well, I think it depends on what happens around him. Is this the week Braden Fehoko is going to play? I think it has to be, but God, I've said that 3 weeks in a row, so I don't want to be wrong again. If Fehoko plays, then I think the snaps probably need to come at the expense of Isaiah Loudermilk. I really liked Loudermilk's offseason. I feel like he was one of the most improved players on the team from training camp compared to last year. But I think, in terms of guys to be the anchors of a 3-tech look and that nickel look, and the Ravens don't really go 4 wide. It's a lot of 3 wide, and it's a lot of fullback or 2 running back or 2 tight end. When the Ravens are in that 3-by-1, though, the Steelers are going to be a nickel, which means 2 defensive linemen. Keeanu Benton has to be one of those 2 defensive linemen. It has to be Benton and Larry Ogunjobi. And then when you go 3, then you can play Mont Adams as the third guy. Armand Watts can be the fourth guy, and I think that makes for a good rotation. And then in base, Benton at the nose, Fehoko can back up the nose, and then you can play guys like Leal if he's healthy, he's still working his way back from the concussion protocol, or Loudermilk, or Watts and Ogunjobi out on the end. But I really think nickel package, Larry, and by the way, Larry, no injury report 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
Wow.
finally healthy. Larry, I think Larry and Kevin Benton as the starters in the nickel package, which will play the majority of the snaps in this game, that needs to be what happens. And then, like I said, to me, then Adams and Watts are the second group in, and you can work Leal and Loudermilk in as ends in the base, and you can work Fehoko in as a nose in the base. And I think that makes the most sense.
I think Limited Larry heard us calling Limited Larry, and he took it personal. I think
I hope he
he's
because
like
that is a scary man to be mad at you. Like I do
he's
not
like
want to. Larry, if you heard that and you were offended by that, I'm sorry because it was not meant to be offensive, and I don't want you to kill me, please.
the Cam Newton gif where he is holding the towel and he like nods his head like, all right, I'm about to make something happen here. Or it's like he's like Ryan Day and Where Lou Holtz.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
To keep it
I'm
a
not
little
sure I've
bit
ever
more
been Lou Holtz before, but sure.
One and only time. You mentioned we're talking about the injuries, so let's go there now. I guess Kenny, obviously a full participant today. That was not the case for everybody though. Pressley Harvin, Dan Moore, we know about Pat Freiermuth and Dan Moore. They weren't going to practice. Leal's still working his way back through the concussion protocol. James Daniels with that groin looks like he's probably on track to miss another game here. And then the one that I really want to bring up, and I'm really worried about, Alex Highsmith added to the injury report with a groin injury. Alan, the panicked fan in me is about to come out, I think, because I'm really worried about this popping up on a Thursday.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of practice injury for Alex Highsmith. They said it's groin. Yeah, some kind of muscly injury. Hard to see him playing this week if he doesn't practice tomorrow. Like that, like those things that come up in week are so tough. There's just so little time. Talked to Nick Herbig today. He said he's ready for a bigger role if it comes his way. I think the Steelers feel good about Marcus Golden, but man, like we're talking about a team that could be playing without Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, 2 starting offensive linemen. Like, man, like no wonder they're 2-2. Like
they came into the season like fully healthy.
The injuries are starting to add up in a significant way, and I don't want to use those as an excuse because when you go look at the tape and there are plays to be made that can change the game and that can cause your team to win, and guys out there aren't making them, it's hard to use that as an excuse. But man, that's a lot of good players. More of their good players are going to be out of the lineup than in the lineup this week. Would you agree that that's fair to say? If Alex Highsmith misses the game,
yes.
Like that's like if you were talking about like their star players, it's like TJ and Alex, it's Cam and Minka, it's Pat and GP and Deontay and Najee and Kenny who's hobbled. Like I mean that's the list, and they're about 50% on the list. That's not where you want to be.
No. And like I said, Sands, Corey Trice Jr., they came into the season as healthy as an NFL team probably could be. And here we are now with the injury report looking like a receipt from CVS. I don't know how we got here in 4 weeks.
It's been rough. It's been really rough. And we'll see how it goes. I think there's I do not feel, especially from being around the team, that there is this kind of massive concern about the start to the season. I'm not sensing panic, and I think 3-2 at the bye week, considering the opponents and considering their injuries, really would be not a bad place. But, they're not giving themselves a lot of room for error by losing to teams like Houston.
Yeah.
Like you got to find a way to win some games that at the beginning of the year did not look like wins. We'll see. This is a big game against the Ravens. Like it's hard to get bigger Week 5 games than this one compared to like Steelers win 3-2, somehow in first place going into their bye week, get a chance to get healthy. Good feelings. Lose, possibility of being in last place. Like, it's a very different. Lose a division home game. Like those are the ones you can't lose. It's a big change. Win and lose this week.
Yeah. And, if you do win, like you said, it would be a division loss. If they win, it's a division win. They'd be 2-0 in the division. 2 of their 3 wins would come in the division, which would be very significant. So, yeah, I think that there is a lot riding on one game. As important as a Week 5 game could be, I think that's a good way of saying it.
Yeah, I agree.
Al, I do want to bring up one thing from YouTube. Somebody commented on yesterday's show. I don't know what it was, but they said they called you Mr. Saunders, by the way. So, very high praise here from Mr. Abs 369.
Well, us misters got to stick together. So
yeah. Your point at 11:20 mark is golden. That's exactly how I see it, and quite frankly, how the players see it. Fans don't seem to understand that. You can't give someone calculus when they don't know or when they can't add and subtract consistently. Oh, so that must have been a point about the players obviously making plays and the execution of it being, Najee. Obviously, that would have been the conversation.
And about Canada not, the criticism of Canada being a simple offense when the team is largely failing to execute his simple offense. And I think that really is a big part of it. That's why the players feel that way. That's why there's a strong feeling from these players that it is not the coaching staff, it is us. If you're a player and your coach, if you think about this, and look, I think most of the time trying to compare pro football to real life is a bad idea. Okay. But if you have a job and you're not doing a very good job at your job, that's not the time to come after your boss for not doing a very good job at their job, right? Like, that's the time where you shut up and keep your head down and you try to get better. Your boss not being very good at his boss doesn't become an issue until that's the thing that's holding you back. And it's just not the thing that's holding the Steelers back. The scheme, the play calling is not the thing right now that is holding the Steelers back. Is it limiting their top potential? I think probably, right? Like, are the Steelers going to be a top 5 offense with Matt Canada as offensive coordinator? Probably not. Okay. Like, if Matt Canada took over the Chiefs, would they still be the best offense in the league? I don't know. Maybe. But probably not. Okay.
I mean, but I don't think very highly of Matt Nagy, and he's the current Chiefs offensive coordinator.
Right. Exactly. Like it.
Yeah.
It is all about the players in the NFL. Most of the time, the coaches just don't matter that much, and everybody. It is always easier to blame the coaches than your favorite players for your favorite players not playing well. But the bottom line is the Steelers players aren't playing very well, and they're the ones that have the biggest impact on whether that continues or doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's as somebody that no longer wants to have Matt Canada as the team's offensive coordinator, I still 100% agree with that point, which is why I said I can 100% see what Najee was saying. I just think it's more layered than the way that he put it. But we will leave it at that. Alan, tell the people where they can find you.
At @Saunders_PGH, at PGH Steelers Now on Twitter, SteelersNow.com. Sign up for SN Plus. Get 10% off with the promo code Allen10. And you'll get all the best stuff from me, Derek Bell, and Nick Faribault, as well as all the other sites on our network. So Pittsburgh Baseball Now, stuff from John Parado, Pittsburgh Hockey Now, stuff from Dave Molinari and Dan Gierski. It's well worth your $36 if you take advantage of my discount. Also, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Here we are just close to 10,000, and we're going to have a subscriber day here on the podcast. We're going to give away some stuff, including a Steelers jersey, which I have been doling out hints about over the last few weeks. And now I must tell you who it is not. It is not Alex Highsmith, spoken of today. It is also not Nick Herbig, potential replacement for Alex Highsmith. Neither of those. We'll keep going with that for a little while. And I don't know if we want to figure, you and I should get together. We should figure out when we're going to do. Are we going to have this as a regular episode or a special episode? I don't know. Should we have like a double podcast day for our celebration? I don't know. Leave us a comment. Let us know if you have an opinion.
Yeah, because that's coming up. That's going to be very soon here.
It's going to be next week. Or
13
else.
Subscribers. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be there.
13 subscribers. You can find me at Zachary Smith PGH on all platforms. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell here. Leave us a comment for us to read. We will get back to that. If you're listening somewhere else, leave us a 5-star review over there as well. Like Alan said, go to the site, read the words. That's how they get paid. For Alan Saunders, for Zachary Smith, thanks for jumping in and taking another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.